Okay, happy Sabbath, Elder Davis. Oh,
Hello.
oh, you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry that we started a bit late.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know if we can start as we are or we wait for more people to join.
I'd suggest that we start because I think we have a lot to talk about, and yeah, I think we will run out of time.
Okay. Um, we can start it even as we wait for more people to join. And so, since we've already spent so much time, we can pray right away and you can start us off.
Okay.
So, I'll ask Teddy to pray for us.
So let us pray. Our God and our Father in heaven, I'd like to thank you for this wonderful Sabbath day. Being the second day of our camp meeting, we pray that you may bless Elder Davis Okoth as he takes us through our session. May you bless other members and encourage them to join as well, that we may learn today. Is my prayer in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
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 So, Elder Davis, you can start us off.
Okay. Thank you so much. I've had very many amens. It's um, it's a real pity that we cannot, we are not in the same physical place, and we might not be able to interact that well. But we thank God still that we are able to have this session, and I pray that the Holy Spirit is going to guide us and that God's will is going to be done. So I want to start with maybe just a quick overview of what we discussed yesterday. What we are discussing today is sort of a continuation of something that we started discussing yesterday. And we divided this week into three parts. We're going to talk about relationships, economics, and spirituality. And so yesterday we started by talking about relationships, and we're looking at the foundation for godly relationships as we walk into the future. And we say that it's you guys are at a very, I'd say, very pivotal stage in your lives, because you're still at a point where you can adjust quite easily and adapt quite well to certain things. And the burden of my presentation and my plea for us this week is that we might be able to move into the future with a lot of intentionality. Hi, very nice to see. You people finally, thanks Teddy. Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying that you're at a point where you can move into the future with a lot of intentionality, and you have a lot of control over certain things in your life, and that will quickly change. So it will be nice and important for you to make the best out of it. And so that's like the kind of the framework within which we are discussing. And yeah, so yesterday we started relationships, and we started by considering the fact that it will probably not be very practical for most of you people listening. I'm so happy today I can see faces. It's such a relief. Yeah, so it will probably not be practical for you people who are listening right now to be able to engage in romantic relationships. And I wish we could have more time to talk about that, but that might not be possible. I think we'll have to like kind of condense a lot of things into today's session. But we try to consider like some of the reasons why um, people within this age group in today's society might want to get into romantic relationships. And I think we had a few good answers yesterday. I might not be able to go over them again today. But we did look at some of the challenges that that kind of an approach or that kind of an attitude might present. And we said things like it might set a bad pattern because you're not ready for a full commitment right now. And you might get yourself into the pattern of getting into a relationship where you are ideally supposed to commit yourself fully, but you go halfway, and that becomes like something that is set in your life. And eventually, even when you get to the point where you really want to commit yourself fully, you are so used to just being able to withdraw and to move away, and that can be an issue. And we talked about it possibly being a distraction, because there are probably other things that might need your time, your energies, your resources, and other things. And you might not be at a point where you're able to divide yourself and everything about you fully to be able to address all of them. And we looked at a biblical example that Paul gives in the book of Corinthians. And so it would be good for somebody to be very intentional and to ask themselves, do I really want to go into this, or should I probably be focusing more on other things? And of course, we discussed the fact that it can be frustrating, because a romantic relationship, the way God designed us, unless we want to ignore the way God designed us, but the way God designed us is that romantic relationships are supposed to go all the way. They're supposed to be a full package, which involves sexual experiences as well. And so, if you want to get into a romantic relationship that does not have any marriage, like in the near future, in view, then you're going to be frustrating yourself and also running the risk of possibly breaking at some point and finding yourself in a place where you did not intend to be. And so I think at the point that we were closing yesterday, we had a very, very good question. And I'd like us to just begin from that point. And the question was, wouldn't trying things out be a good idea? I mean, um, before you go to work, you normally do attachment. Um, Before you do a speech, you normally do like some practice and stuff like that. So would it just be okay to kind of like try things out before you get there, before you get to the point where you're at the altar and you're saying, I do? And apart from the reasons that we mentioned, I think we're going to try and address a few more parts of that question today. And I believe that God is going to help us. There's so much that we need to cover. I really don't know how to condense it into the few minutes that we have left, but I think we will try to do our best. So I want to start with a question, and it's very good today. I can see people. So if you decide to keep quiet, I know that you're just being difficult, and I'll know what to do with you. So what would you consider to be some essentials or some ingredients for a healthy marriage? Either from your own experience, if you are married or you've tried marriage, or from what you've observed, from what you've read, from what you know. What would you say are some essentials for a healthy marriage? If you do not want to speak, you can just quickly type into the chat. That would be fine as well.
Um, can you kindly repeat that question?
All right. I'm asking, what what are the essentials or some ingredients, some things that you think are important for a healthy marriage? Marriage. Underline the
Okay.
word marriage.
So we have a few members here who would
Yes.
like to give, of course, what they think. So we'll start with Noella as we move along. So yeah, Noella.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Teddy.
I think I can make uh, all right. What I think is like the basic ingredients. There has to be love,
Okay.
love that is born like true pure love, not this love that is advertised in movies and whatever, but love born from heaven, and mutual respect. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's what Naila thinks.
Good, good communication.
Good communication. All right.
What is called-
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Commitment.
Commitment. Okay. Yes, I think that's a good one as well. One or two more.
I think you also like need to see, you need to be agreed. Like you need to see things eye to eye.
Okay, to be agreed. I think the word that people like using is compatibility, that you
Mm.
have to like kind of gel and blend. Okay. People who are not in church, I can see Faith, Masinta, Elian. Anybody else?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, you need trust. Trust each other.
Trust. Okay.
You need trust. You trust
All
each
right.
other.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I got that. Trust. Thank you. Okay. We'll
Can
start
you?
with this. Sorry.
I'm saying you need to trust each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I got that. I got
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So I just like us to kind of like talk about some of those things. Okay. Just 1 minute. Sorry about something. Um, can you hear me well?
We can hear you, but it's a bit low.
Uh,
Can we do
I'll
something about
try to put my volume at maximum now. I don't know if it's any better. Maybe I'll have to shout. I'll just try to increase my own volume. In case it's still low, just let me know. I can still shout. I can shout louder than this.
All right.
Yeah. So um, yeah. So I just want to briefly talk about some of those things. I'm glad that most of what was in my presentation has been mentioned, so probably I'll not need to talk so much about them. But yeah, the reason why I'm asking this question is just so that we can think about, because we're talking about laying the right foundation. And if these are the essential things for a healthy relationship, then it means that these are things that we have to be very intentional about. And these are things that we have to ensure that we have like we have put in place as we walk into the future. And if we had the time, and this would be something I'd be very interested in asking if maybe we were present in person. But I'd just like to ask, like in terms of commitment, let's say for example, commitment. What if you reflect as an individual and if you think about it as a person, how do you think, how committed do you think you are? If you look at, for example, your commitment in church, your relationship with God, in your family, in your studies. Let's say, for example, if maybe let's say you're in college or you're in campus, and you're supposed to have a cut tomorrow, and you have like this pile of books to study. And then in the afternoon, the lecturer says, okay, tomorrow's cut is cancelled. Do you still have the urge to study? Do you still have the urge to read? Or do you say, wow, yeah, free afternoon today, I was thinking of studying, but now I can go and do other things? Do you have a commitment to something? Do you like, can you give your life for something, if I may put it that way? And if you ask yourself those questions and you figure out that you probably have a problem committing yourself to things, I'd say, let's say I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I believe this is what my church teaches, and I believe that is what the Bible says, but I do not commit myself to that. Then that's just one example of something that I would say it is, you do not have the right foundation for marriage. Because if you're saying that marriage requires commitment as an essential, and and already in your life you're feeling like that is lacking, then you probably want to think about that, and you probably want to ask yourself what you can do about it. So that's the reason why I was bringing these things up, so that maybe we can just keep them at the back of our minds. We might not be able to like really dig into them and kind of try to go deep into them, but I think it's just good for us to be aware and to consider them as we go along. And so we've talked about love, and Noella has specifically clarified and said that it's not this cheap love advertised in the movies that she has in mind. She's talking about true, deep love that can now be expounded into by all these other things that we've said. That's purity, mutual respect, good communication, commitment, the ability to agree, being able to trust and to be trusted, and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'd like us to talk about some of those things. And again, I said, feel free to jump in. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, if there's any reason why someone would like to say something, don't wait for me to pause. I am a preacher, both by it's a hobby, it's a calling, it's a gift, it's everything. So I can talk. I can talk till the sun goes down. So if you'd like to say something, just feel free to interrupt me. You can either put up your hand or just unmute yourself and say something. So let's talk about communication, for example. That's something that has been mentioned. Um, and under communication, there are certain things that are important. And I want to talk about them because I think they are like slowly going away. And one of them is something that is very simple, very basic, but also a very, very big problem. And becoming a bigger problem today, and that is attention. Just having somebody's attention today is such a big problem. You need to discuss something, you need to talk about something, but even just that ability for someone to like give you proper attention becomes an issue. And it's becoming a big problem in marriages. You just find people who cannot engage for like 10 minutes. Your mind is constantly used to jumping from one thing to another, jumping from one thing to another. And that's especially important. I can imagine if my generation, is having that kind of a challenge. Then what about a generation that is already so used to things like social media, and that is like such a natural part of life and just like such a natural part of the day? I'm just asking myself what kind of challenges and what kind of difficulties might later on arise in life. And those are things that we have to be aware of, and we have to be intentional about, and we have to ask ourselves, what do I as an individual, what can I do about them? Another thing, I think these things, I'll come back and talk about them a little bit more, but things like being able to compromise, being able to say, I do not agree with this, but I'm willing to allow it for the sake of, I believe we'll be able to come to an agreement later, but being able to just compromise and say, yes, let's agree to disagree on this, and let's work out a way to see how to live with it, and things like forgiveness and things like all that. So these are some of the building blocks, some of the important things. We talked about love and commitment, and then we have things like trust. Do I have difficulties trusting people? And am I somebody who someone can trust? If I say something, can somebody believe that I mean what I am saying, and stuff like that? And then another building block that will contribute towards love and commitment is openness and honesty. Is that something that I'm able to exhibit? Being able to give my time, being able to take up responsibilities, being able to respect people and to earn people's respect, and things like that. But I'm glad we've talked about most of them, so I don't want to belabor them right now. I think we are going to come back to them in about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, I'd like to just talk about, and this I'll be sharing from, mine will not just be theory, but I'd like to talk about factors that are hindering good relationships, factors that are affecting marriages today. Yeah, and so we've looked at what we need to have, but it also be good to know when we get into marriage, what are some of those challenges that we are going to run into, so that we can understand and know how to prepare for them. Because when you want to go on a journey, you must know what exactly are you going to meet, what exactly are you going to face, and you must know how are you going to meet those challenges. And so there are certain things that are affecting good relationships. And some of them might be interesting, but I'll try to go through them. And the good thing, again, I'll emphasize this, is that they are things that can be fixed at this foundational stage. But if they are neglected and if they are not thought about and you zoom right into the future without being intentional about them, then you run the risk of being part of the statistic. And so there are some that I'll just try to maybe talk about to classify them broadly into several areas, and then we can talk about them. And one of the things that is growing into a problem in marriages is based on the way people have grown up, based on the environment in which you have grown up or you are growing up in. I have to learn to talk in present tense because you are not yet in marriage. So the environment you are in now is largely going to affect the kind of marriage that you have in future. Okay. And if you are not aware of that, or if you do not think about that, if you do not understand that that is a cause that is going to turn into an effect later on, then it's of course going to be a challenge. And I'm just going to mention some like particular examples that we can think about when we when we talk about the environment. One that I can say is a reality is that in marriage you need to work together as a team. You need to understand that the person you're living with, the person you've settled down with, is a friend and you're collaborating, you're working together. Now, unfortunately, so many things in our lives teach us not to collaborate, but to compete. And you find that one of the challenges in marriage today, you find that people come to settle down, even though even though my intention and my hope is that we are really going to be at peace with each other, but I have been taught to compete so much that even when I get into marriage, I'm still thinking of myself and I'm thinking of how to advance, and I'm thinking of how to step on others and just to make sure that I am succeeding, to the extent that I think of marriage not as teamwork, but as how do I get the best out of this. And of course, I do not need to like cite examples of where this is nurtured into us, but in our educational experience, I am taught that I must be the best. If I am not the best in maths, but I can be the best in English, my teachers ask me, why are you doing so well in maths, but you're doing so poorly in English? And those kind of things that have to come up. And so we have to teach ourselves how to get out of this mindset of competing. Even when I get to, I want to get into the job market, I will sit an interview. And in the interview, it will be about how do I outshine others? How do I demonstrate that I am better than everybody else? In fact, that's a question that you will be asked. What makes you think you're the best person for this job? And you know, those kind of things. And so we are so programmed to think in terms of our own personal success and to think in terms of me first, okay? And then this mentality comes into marriage. And you find now somebody who has settled down in marriage, said I do and pledged to love and honestly meant and intended to love. But the way the mind has been programmed is to think of me first, to think of how do I move forward and how do I take advantage of other people. And you find that marriage now turns out to be just something of the sort. And of course, it doesn't fulfill that which God intends for it to be. And that becomes a problem. It's okay. It's okay. Just, this is going to go off. Sorry, let me just attend to something. I need this one. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I was talking about the aspect of competition, for example, and how that comes back to hunters. And then another factor that affects us is just 1 minute. Okay, We have to learn how to work from home nowadays and preach from home and do everything from home. Yeah. So just another thing that I'll quickly mention on that is like the environment that we grow up in also also means the things that are coming to our minds, like what is our view of love, what is our view of marriage, what does society expect from a man who is in a relationship or who is married, what does society expect from a woman, and all those things. Those are things that are shaping us. And if I am in a society that has a particular view, then I will be molded into that kind of a mindset and that kind of a way of thinking. If I am in a society that has an alternative view, then that is what I will become. If you find somebody who probably grows up in a rather communal kind of a background, like I largely grew up up country, and we had you know, this kind of environment where a boy was expected to go and take care of the goats and the sheep, and the girl was expected to remain in the house and take care of cooking, fetching water, and all these kind of things. And you know, that is, it's giving me some thoughts. It's teaching me certain things. And unless I am intentionally aware that that is how I grew up and that is my way of thinking, I am likely not to consider that. And I am likely to jump into marriage and expect that my, let me speak about you, my future husband or my future wife is probably thinking about life the same way I am thinking. And so if I do not see certain things, I become troubled. I become disturbed, and I think to myself, do you mean I got the wrong person, or that kind of a thing? And then I begin to be dissatisfied, and those are very, very small things that they just grow up and they become big things in life. And so I must be intentional and I must be aware of what kind of background do I have? What kind of environment have I grown up in? And I must critique that environment. I must ask myself, what are some of the things that I have picked up in my journey in life? Are they good? Are they realistic? Are they bad? Are they things that I must stick with, or are they things that I can shed off along the way? There might be things that are just about society, and they're just things about, you know, it's just a way of life, but they're probably not moral. They are not either good or bad, and they're things that I can decide to give up. But I have to think about them. Noella mentioned cheap love that is advertised on media. I have to ask myself, what is my understanding and what is my thinking about love, about courtship, about marriage? What do I know? And what have I understood? What have I picked up? And things like that. Another thing which is also very, very important is experiences that I have gone through. And I must mention this. Some people have gone through abuse, for example. Some people have gone through living in families where maybe the parents did not get along, probably even had to go different ways at some point. And those are things that definitely are going to affect me if I grew up or if I have experienced those kind of things. And I have to be aware of them, and I have to take stock of them, and I have to deal with them for me to be able to walk into a relationship with confidence. And unfortunately, so many times when we think of getting into relationships, those are not the kind of thoughts that we have. I want to go back to the suggestion that was brought forth yesterday, that we try, okay? And so many times when I'm getting into a relationship, my thoughts are that my success in marriage and my success in a relationship is going to be based probably on how well I can relate with another human being. But I do not think about the baggage I have collected along the way. And I do not think about the practical things I have to deal with. I think that if I can say hi to you, if I can talk about myself, if I can engage your attention, if I can make you feel happy, if I can treat you with respect and dignity, that those things are good enough. Okay. But I do not think about my own experience and my own background in life and what that might have taught me and programmed me to have. And I want to tell us that when I am in a trial kind of a setup, when I am in a setup where I want to try things out, there are things that I will not allow to come out. There are things that I will not allow to show. There are certain insecurities about myself that I will hush and I will step on them and I will try to keep them under. But you know, a trial is a very short-term thing. It's going to last for a very, very short period of time. But marriage is going to last years and years and years. And that is why sociologists who have studied marriage, they say that most marriages begin to exhibit problems between the 5th year and the 10th year. And at that time, kids have started coming. At that time, you know, people know you, you have positions in church, you have all these things. And then suddenly people hear that, so and so are having problems. You ask yourself, how now? That was the best couple we knew about. But it's because these are issues that, you know, within the first few years of marriage, you can still step on things. You can still keep them. You can still keep them under covers. But eventually, as you go on in life, you know, these things have to come up. Things have to just start showing themselves, and that's when cracks begin to appear, and that's when difficulties begin to arise, and the difficulties that your trial and error did not prepare you for. And so if you want to prepare yourself, you have to understand these things, and you have to like really be intentional about dealing with them. I don't know who is forwarding the time. I'm really trying to speak as fast as I can, but I don't know where time is going. Yeah. And then maybe the last thing I'm going to mention under this section, and then we move into the practical how to deal with them, which might be the last thing we'll discuss, is our own character and personality. And I want to throw in a quick question here. What is character and what is personality, and what is the difference between them? What is character? What is personality? And what is the difference between them? I'd like to give priority to those who are not listening from church. I can see there are several names on the screen. Those who are not within, oh no, someone just dropped when I mentioned that. I don't know if I should. Okay. Is there anyone, whether you're in church or not, who would like to say what is character, what is personality, and what is the difference? We have less than like 15 minutes, so I'll appreciate those who'd like to speaking quickly. That's Faith.
For me, yeah, I think character is what I think what people see in you. Personally is what makes you be you. I don't know whether that makes a difference, but yeah, that's my opinion on character and personality.
Okay, character, what people see in you, personality, what makes you be you. Okay, okay. Somebody else? Is someone speaking?
Yes, we have someone who wants to say something.
All right, thank you.
So I think
Yeah.
your character is who you are when no one is watching you. In the children's definition, like it is you as a person, and I think character can be worked on, but personality is it's basically it's how we react. It's okay, different people have different personalities with different characteristics, in the sense that their means of reacting to different situations and circumstances is different. So character is like the underlying moral value, and but I feel like personality doesn't, okay, it may matter, but I feel like character is at the top apple. Then now we come to personality when we are gauging people. Sorry for the terrible lighting.
No worries, no problem. Yeah, so I'd just like to try and put those two together, and I think they're leading us in the right direction. So we could think of character as the what you are. Okay, we could think of character as, and it has to do with morality. So character is like, am I a thief? Am I a quarrelsome person? Am I a gossip? You know, those kind of things. It has to do with the attributes that you manifest, which are either good or bad. And personality has to do with how you manifest those attributes. And so, for example, let's say I get bad news, maybe that my friend is sick. um, if my response has to do with morality, then that will be classified under character. If, for example, my friend is sick and then I start cursing God and you know, that kind of thing, that has to do with character. And the other response would be, if my friend is sick, I get withdrawn and I like go sit down quietly somewhere and I'm thinking, no, that doesn't have anything to do with good or bad. Now that is classified under personality. And so there are two levels at which we consider a person, an individual. One is at the moral level, and that has to do with character. And the other, I do not know whether we could call it behavioral, but character is also behavioral. But yeah, I think you get the point. One has to do with the kind of emotional, psychological attributes that I manifest, but character has to do with the moral, whether it is good or bad. Now, both of them are important, and it is important for us to understand both our character and our personality. Character, of course, is very, very critical because it will be a very good thing to carry a good character into marriage. And if I can see that I have character problems, then it is time for me to try and work on them. And if, for example, I cannot deal with my anger, I get angry and I can beat someone up and I can hurt someone, that's not a good thing. I can love somebody very, very much, but if I cannot handle my anger, then that's a bad quality. That's not something I want to carry into a relationship. And this is the foundational level. If I am not able to manage that right now, then it becomes a big problem because, of course, you know, the Swahili say, samaki mkunje angali mbichi. Yes, and I think in English it's like, can only shape a tree when it's still young, when you can bend it easily. My audio. Okay, I don't know if it's my network, but I'll try to just keep things up. Yeah. So if you cannot deal with your character right now, when you're still at the point of growing and you're still easily molded, then that will become a bigger problem later on. And personality is important as well. I want to give a quick example from my own experience that I can see time is almost up, so I'll try to be very, very quick. I have a personality that is very moody. I'm a very, very moody person. And well, let me put that in the past. I was a very, very moody person because this is like the point I'm trying to make. And I grew up that way. I believed that that was me. And I knew that there are certain things that when they happen, I will have to like just go and close myself up somewhere and I'll just be the gloomiest human being you'll ever come across for a long time. And you know, I used to read these books and I could see CG melancholic, CG what, and I knew me, I'm a hopeless melancholic. I knew that's me and it stamped on me and I can't change that. And then I got this person who like really gave me an interesting view and told me, you know Peter in the Bible, right? Peter was the person who, he could see Jesus walking on the water. Me, I don't know what was wrong with Peter's mind. You know, Peter knew all the laws of physics. He knew about density, about all these things. Peter knew all these things. But he can see Jesus walking on the water and then he says, Lord, if it is you, tell me to come. And Jesus says, come. And Peter forgets all his physics and all these things and he jumps into the water and he actually imagines that he can walk on the water. You know, that was Peter. Peter was the person who, he says, Lord, me, everybody is going to desert you, but me, I can't. Me, Lord, you see, you know me, you know how we are. Peter was like, he trusted himself so much. And that was not character. That was personality. Peter's personality was, he did not really think deeply about things. He would ask him to jump. Peter jumps first, and then he asks you, so what are we jumping about? You know, that was him. And then someone told me, do you know that God just changed Peter's personality and he made Peter more thoughtful, more deliberate, and that was like a shock to me. I had never considered that personality was something also that was within the realm of change. And I just want to say that there are certain things in personality that can become a problem and they can influence and affect your character. If you cannot handle conflict properly, it is both a personality and a character issue. And the character issue becomes part of your personality problem. So you need to understand yourself. You need to know what are some of the weaknesses that are present in my character and my personality, and then you need to have to deal with them. Now, I'm very sorry that our time is up. So I'd like to just try and summarize the practical how to, and this was like half of the presentation. I really don't know how I'm going to do this. Or we can agree that because we had one free day, we can agree that we finish up on relationships tomorrow so that we don't have to like cram everything up. And then we start on economics that will be on Tuesday. Does that sound okay? Okay, I can see people nodding and I can see someone has typed agreed. And so, yeah, because it would do a lot of injustice, I don't think I would even manage to make any sense if I tried to squeeze this in. So the next few minutes that we have, I'd like to allow them for a question or a comment. And then we are going to wind up. Question or comment?
So, my question is, do different personalities really matter when it comes to choosing someone as as a marriage partner? Um, Character seems more important, but personality it's also kind of influences. Are there certain personalities that cannot work, or is that where the Holy Spirit comes in? So, do they really matter?
Okay. I have not spent a lot of time studying personalities, and I just used to ignore personalities because I used to tell myself that character is what is important. Personality is just, just the way somebody is. So, you really don't. But I'd say that I think personality affects us before character. Okay. So when I see somebody and I am attracted to this person, I really don't know so much about this person, probably, right? So maybe the first thing that got my attention in this person is the person's personality. Okay. There are people who, they'll just see you contributing to the lesson. And they're like, wow. Oh, and what is attracting this person? Is it about whether you're a liar or not? Is it about whether your whatever character you have? Probably not. Probably it is your personality. And so I would say that the way we are created and the way we are already takes care largely of the personality thing, of the personality issue. I do not think that people usually have to like sit and ask themselves like, do I want a loud person or a quiet person? That's usually you already like those kind of people by default. Even right now within the group where you are, there are certain people that you just like, there are certain people that you just hang out with naturally, and there are certain people that you just can't tolerate. And it's just, I mean, it's not a secret. Everybody knows that so and so, they're more likely to hang out with this person than with this person. And so I would say that even though personality is important, but most of the time you'll find yourself focusing more on the character qualities, because personality, you will just deal with it more like naturally. You'll just exclude certain people based on who they are, the kind of personality they have. But of course, it is important to consider personality. And I think there are certain things that you'd have to like consider. I think there are like certain areas of personality that are important. For example, how somebody communicates, how organized somebody is, and those kind of things. If you cannot tolerate someone who, everything has to be in the exact place, then that's something that you need to bear in mind. Okay. If there has to be a place for the spoon on the plate, it cannot just be anywhere. Then, of course, that's something that you'd have to bear in mind, because it can lead to issues later on. But if you're not particularly too careful about those things, then that's also a reflection on your own personality. And so you do not want to get hooked with somebody who is too careful about them. Yeah. I don't know if that helps.
Yes, has. It has.
All right. So today I'm not very pressed for time. You guide me on when to close. I'm happy to continue just chatting, hanging out. So that means we can have as many more questions or comments as your time will allow. Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so my question is, is there any time frame you need to have to understand someone's character before you get in a relationship with, or you can just hop in at any time, regardless?
That's very important.
Um, that's a very heavy question. I'd need quite some time to answer because there are several things I have to talk about before I answer that question. And I'd first need to ask myself, what kind of relationship are you talking about? When you say to get into a relationship, could you please clarify so that I can know how to answer this question?
A relationship that you intend to
Lead to marriage.
or to that will lead to marriage.
Okay, it's important to know that. So you're talking about a relationship that if all goes well, it is going to end up at the altar and you're going to say, I do. So you're asking what kind of, like, is there a time frame for you to know this person? So are you asking about to be able to get into a relationship with this person or once you are in a relationship with this person? Again, sorry to ask a few questions.
Once you are.
Okay, so you are already in a relationship and you're asking yourself, is there a time frame that is good enough for me to feel like now I know, I understand this person, I think now I can make the next step? Okay, now that's a good question. Um, how do we answer that good question? I'd say that number one, it depends on, for example, I I'm a rather analytical person, so I'm going to express this in the way my mind thinks. A relationship is a function of time and communication. Okay. A relationship is either strengthened or weakened by time and communication. And those are the two factors that you need to be present for a relationship to exist and a relationship to grow. If a relationship does not grow well, it is because either time is not adequate or communication is not adequate. And so I would say that I cannot put like a time. I cannot say that you need to take 2 months or 2 weeks or 10 years or whatever. It's going to depend on how well and how clearly are you communicating, how deeply and how intimately are you communicating. And the second thing that it will depend on is how much time do you spend either together or communicating and all that, because that is helping to create a bond. Now, the other thing that I need to say is going to be affected by, is going to affect that decision is how well do I already know this person? It is usually recommended that for people who are going to choose life partners after the age of 23, 25, thereabouts, 23 mostly for ladies, 25 for men, because men tend to settle down later in life. And so if you're going to settle down after 25, thereabout, the person you settle down with is supposed to be someone who you've probably known for like 2 years. It's supposed to be someone who has been within your circles, either in school, in church, someone you have been able to interact with. And that is going to at least take care of, you already know this person. So there are certain things that you already know. You already know, we are working Kasirika, something has to break. Okay. So you already have a clue about certain things. And so if you're not getting into a relationship with that kind of a person that you do not know very well already, yes, please.
Sorry to cut you short. Could you probably try it without the earphones? It's really breaking. The voice is really breaking.
Hello,
Yes?
can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better that way. It's better.
Oh,
Yeah, much
okay.
better.
And I actually thought that the earphones would make it better. Sorry for keeping you in so much torture for all this time. Um, Yeah, so if it's not okay, just let me know. I don't know what else I can do, but just let me know. So what were we saying? Yeah, that normally it is recommended that the person you eventually settle down with, you try to choose from among a circle of people that you've been able to interact with for a period of time, like maybe 2 years. And this is 2 years of interaction without being in an exclusive romantic relationship. So you've known this person generally for 2 years. Maybe you've not been friends, but it's someone you normally see in church. You normally see them singing the choir. You normally see them teaching children. You normally see them doing things. You already know a few things about them. You know that when they're in church, they just love serving people, visitors, wakikuja, they'll welcome them. And you know, there are certain things you already know about them. Okay. And so I do not know whether this will be someone you already have at least some understanding about, or this is just someone you have met. You just went for this rally and you've just seen this person and you have been flabbergasted in love by this person, and you're saying, Lord, hey, Lord, do I go on or what do I do? So that is, of course, going to affect um, that decision. So if it is someone you're starting from scratch with, it will probably take much longer than somebody that you already know about. Okay, and you know their family, you know several things about them, because again, a few things that you might need to find out is what is their family and a few more background things. So there might not be a very, very clear like answer, like take this long, don't take more than this, don't take less than this. Of course, people generally uh, cancel that you should take not less than 6 months, not more than 2 years. And people normally feel that within that time frame, you're probably going to be able to, if you're serious also, you're probably going to be able to get all the information you need to make a decision. But the longer you take, the more dangerous things become for many reasons. It becomes more difficult to break a courtship that has been going on for more than 10 years, not 10 years, sorry, not 10 years, definitely, not 10 years, more than 1 year. um, but again, taking a very short time is also not ideal. 3 months might not be very good. 6 months might not be very good, but can pass. Between 6 months and 1 year, 2 years, several factors would come into play there. Another thing I'd ask myself, for example, is how practical is it? If, for example, I am a man, I am working, and I feel like I'd like to settle down, the person I'm feeling is best suited for me to settle down with is maybe in the final year in campus. They cannot settle down right now, but they are considering, they're saying, well, me, once I'm done with school issues, I really don't have a problem. And you can say, okay, even though I feel like I've known this person for 10 years, I know them very, very well, but I can't practically settle down with them right now because they're still in school. So you'll have to give yourself like an extra 1 year and give this person time to clear up with more important matters. And there are certain things that you'll have to ask yourself, how do we pace this relationship so that it doesn't like just fly out of the roof? And then, yeah, so there are several things. That's why I was saying it might be a bit difficult to just talk about it in totality. But I hope that kind of answers and helps a little bit. Yeah, so those are some of those things. Some of those things. One of the things I would really, really encourage you. One of the things I would really, really encourage you to do, and I wish I knew about this much earlier. One of the things I would encourage you is when you are considering and when you are in a serious relationship, be generous with counseling. Don't wait until you're ready to go to the altar and then you start counseling. Be generous with counseling. See people who you can approach and say, even when you've just met and you've had that discussion, and I want to suggest this to you, when you are ready to get into a serious relationship, don't fall in love. Please don't fall. Be as intentional as you can about it. Have an intelligent and open discussion with this person. Sit down and say, okay, we've been talking for this long. And me, honestly, I feel like I am being attracted and I think we need to get into another level. We now need to be exclusive, and I need to know that you are you know, we have something serious here. Okay. We are not just saying hi to each other. We are not just visiting each other. We are serious about this. And once you have that intelligent discussion and you agree, yes, let's do this, please cancel with someone. go and sit down with someone and first say, this is not yet public information, we are coming to you in confidence, but we feel like me and so we'd like to move to another level in life. And we want to come and like, one, we want you to know so that you can hold us accountable. And number two, we'd like you to give us any general guidance that you think people like us who are just starting out in life are supposed to bear in mind and are supposed to consider and are supposed to, because all camp meetings that you'll attend in your life will not prepare you. Here we can only talk generally. But there are certain things that someone will tell you, the way I know you, please make sure you do this and this. Please make sure you pay attention to this and this and this. So there are certain things that only in a very, very close and confidential session that somebody might be able to share with you. So please be generous with counseling. Don't wait until you have like 3 months to the wedding and then you're asking yourself, so which pastor is going to officiate? And then you start doing that. That counseling really doesn't work. That is normally just a formality. It just normally prepares you for going to the altar. But the things that will help you to get ready for your marriage will probably start much earlier on. Okay. Uh-huh.
People here are still debating on whether to ask a question or not.
Now I can't hear you.
Is there a question? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So Diana wants to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Kindly let me just ask another question. My concern is there no danger of, I'm not being heard. Okay. Is there no danger of people masking their personalities, no matter like how much time we date? Because I feel like the people who date for lengthy periods of time and they get into marriage, and 2, 5, 10 years down the line, you discover things about these people, or these people decide they change. Even 10 years down the line, you hear people, my husband was not like this, my husband was never like this when you used to be dating. And then now when you get there and then things change and this, yeah, the script flips over. Is there no danger of such things happening? And is there a way like us as young people can try to prevent such situations from happening? Because you hear stories from people and you're like,
Okay, I'll say two things. I'll say two things about that. Number one is that there is a danger, of course. There is a danger either of somebody masking who they really are, and that is why people, the point that I made earlier, that you are advised that the person you eventually settle down with, if you have the opportunity, should be somebody you have already known for like 2 years. Because within those 2 years, you are not like considering each other. You had the freedom and the ability to understand this person without them knowing that you are interested in them. Okay. Because of course, even once you are interested in me, there are certain things I don't want you to know naturally. I want to improve my chances of success. So if I know that there is a problem somewhere, I might not be very enthusiastic about revealing that. Yeah. So that's one of the things that you are cancelled. The person who you are more likely to succeed in marriage with might be somebody who you already knew for like 2 years before you started considering each other for marriage. Okay, and that helps you because you were able to know and understand this person without them feeling under pressure to conceal certain things or anything like that. So that's number one. In the unlikely event that you are not able to benefit from that, then of course the second point is that is where faith comes in. And even if I knew you for 10 years, there is no guarantee that you're not going to change. There is never a guarantee. There is no guarantee that your love is never going to change or anything of the sort. And so the second thing that we need to bear in mind is that marriage is ordained of God. It is an institution that God himself has put in place. And so when we make the step to get into marriage, we need to put God in the picture. we need to have God as part and parcel of our thinking, our planning, our everything about us, so that we can have God walking the journey with us. And that is, of course, it's a safeguard. Me, I believe in prayer and I believe in God. And I believe that God is able to fight. That is why I strongly believe that there is a benefit in having your wedding in church. You could go to the ages office, you could do a traditional wedding, they're all recognized by law. You could do a can we stay and just find yourself, you got married by default or all those things. But I strongly believe that there is a benefit in going before God, having an ordained minister of God praying for you and pleading God's blessings upon you. Because I strongly believe that God fights to honor his name. And whenever such challenges are going to come, of course, God is going to fight. But even after all those things, even after you were prayed for, even after you knew this person for 10 years, things can still go wrong. And that is why I believe that having your own walk, personal walk with God, is the ultimate like the ultimate topping on the cake. God has not guaranteed us success in everything in this life. And your marriage can fail miserably and hopelessly and in a very, very sad way. Am I able to stand? Am I able to hold on? Am I able to have that hope and that courage and that faith that God is still here with me? You know, if someone like Job went through losing everything, including his wife, if you know the story, including the confidence that he could get from knowing that his wife is walking this journey with him. But Job would still say, I can lose everything else, but I still have my faith in God intact. So, what do I hold as dearest in my life? And you know, this is where you find people who, because their marriage is not working, you see your husband moving about with people left, right, and center. You decide to either kill him or kill yourself or kill your children or do something that is very, very unfair and unreasonable because you did not have an anchor for yourself, because you put all your trust, all your eggs in this marriage basket, and when the basket fails, all your hopes are doomed and dashed and you can't see any future. But if you have a personal walk with God and you are sure that whatever my Lord thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul, then you can meet the future with confidence. And so, yeah, that was one of the things that was going to come up tomorrow. But if you really want to have a strong and a stable marriage, you must have a close walk with God. That I don't think there is anything that can substitute for that. Because even if you have the strongest marriage in life, Satan is going to fight. Satan is going to fight and is going to try to find ways of making sure that things don't work out. And if you do not have a stable walk with God, then many things can happen of which we really can't say. So just to summarize and to answer your question in brief, number one, yes, there are things you can do. Some of them we are going to discuss now. Another one I mentioned, try to take as much benefit as you can from counseling. And there are certain things that people might be able to advise you. And like we mentioned, try and don't jump into a relationship with someone who you have not known well before you started considering them. But even in spite of all that, let God be your guide and let God take charge of everything. Yeah.
So the question is, the practical examples that you have said you're going to tell us, are you telling us now or
I
tomorrow?
can't hear you very well.
I'm saying, the practical examples that you have said that you're going to give us, are you going to give them to us today or tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I think we are going to do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think tomorrow we'll try to look at some practical steps or some practical things that we can do right now as we consider getting into godly relationships in future.
so, um, so I guess there are no more questions for the people who are still here. So you can just wrap it up.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I guess we're going to close with a word of prayer. and then I'll hand it over to the host. Let's pray. Our loving Lord in heaven, we thank you so much because of your goodness and your mercy, and we thank you because you've given us a chance to be able to talk today and to discuss weighty matters concerning our practical lives. I want to thank you for the young people who have been able to listen and who are at the foundational point in their lives. They have just gotten through getting into adulthood. And I believe, Lord, that they are making very, very critical decisions in their life at this point. I want to pray for your blessings. I want to pray that you may give them wisdom as you have promised in the book of James. And I want to pray that you may help them, that they may be intentional about the decisions they are going to make, and that they may be able to walk into the future with confidence, not confidence in the fact that maybe they have learned many things or they are good people, but the confidence that you yourself are working with them. And I especially want to pray that you may give them a strong spiritual walk with you, that you may help them to have you as a close friend and confidant, that they may be able to share with you everything and anything that is happening in their lives, and that they may also be keen to listen to your voice and willing to obey. I know that there are many more sessions that are going to follow for this program. And also, Lord, you're blessing us in this camp through various other things. And I want to pray, Lord, that your will is going to be done and that you're going to bless us until the day that you come again. This is our humble prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Thank you so much. I want to hand it back to Noella, I believe.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elder, for the discussion we've had today. And thank you everyone who has been able to participate by asking questions and also answering. And I'd like to encourage the rest of us to also desire and to also take part in these discussions. Like Elder Davis started the discussion, he said that this is a time that you actually have uh, to to basically rebrand ourselves. If you're not satisfied with where you are right now, you have the opportunity to rebrand yourself and to remanufacture who you desire to be. And so, with that, I think we are free to leave, even as we hope to meet tomorrow and the rest of the week to learn more of what God has in store for us. So, yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Okay. So bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Au revoir.